Shortly after Donald Trump was actually impeached, a conversation emerged around impeaching Donald Trump again. Because as the meme goes, we've had first impeachment, but what about second impeachment? During the impeachment trial, Democrats warned they will, quote, do it again, like the Goofy meme, because they certainly love their memes. And here we are, sure enough, with multiple op-eds coming out saying Donald Trump should be impeached again. For what? Why? Has he done anything? You wasted your first impeachment. Perhaps you shouldn't have, because now Trump's going to do other stuff and then claim it's a witch hunt. And guess what? People are going to believe him. You see, this is why you don't cry wolf. It's all they've been doing. Let's say Trump actually does something questionable. If they do another impeachment, America will collectively roll its eyes saying, this again? Please spare us. The election is coming up soon. But of course, if Donald Trump wins, I'd be willing to bet the Democrats' only play will be a second impeachment unless Republicans take back the House, in which case they will expunge the impeachment entirely. Trump will claim it never happened. But here we have this story, which I briefly highlighted in my main segment. Trump is right. We might have to impeach him again. Why, yes, a story from just today from George T. Conway III. Let me read. And of course, he's showing a picture of Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. But let's read. So we'll probably have to do it again, like the Goofy meme says. I'm adding the Goofy meme part. So said the already once impeached President Trump on Thursday in the East Room, musing about the possibility he could become the first president to be impeached more than once. And on the very next day, as though he were competing for it, Trump showed precisely why he could be destined to achieve the ignominious fate. Ignominious. Okay. Donald Trump and the Republicans raised $117 million. Of course he wants you to do it again. Don't be stupid. Trump has kept the Democrats off message and off base nonstop, and they keep walking into it because they're just not smart enough to compete against Donald Trump. And it's funny because I certainly don't think Trump is the smartest person in the world. I think he's clever. I think he's smart. A lot of people think he's a 4D chess playing genius. I think he knows what he's doing for the most part. But all that really matters is not that he's smart, just that he's smarter than Democrats. As the joke goes, actually, no, I'm going to do the joke terribly, but it's basically you ask someone, if a bear is chasing me, I don't have to escape. I only have to run faster than you. It's all relative, right? Trump doesn't need to be the smartest guy so long as Democrats are just stupider than he is and they keep walking into these traps. So yeah, they'll probably do it again. Trump will do a big campaign. Something will happen. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to 2020, Donald Trump wins. He can't run for election a third time. So here's what will happen. They'll try to impeach him in his second term, and they'll launch a big impeachment defense, which will raise tons of money for the GOP, who will line Donald Trump Jr.'s pockets with campaign finance gold to run in 2024. Maybe it'll be Ivanka, maybe it'll be Pence, I don't know. But Donald Trump Jr. is number 2 in terms of polled favorites to run. I'm not saying he will. I don't know. I just think there's a likelihood. Trump Jr. knows the culture war. He's very culturally savvy. I think Trump Sr. is better with trade just because he's a lot older and more experienced. Not saying Trump Jr. is bad, but I think Trump Jr. is savvy in the culture war, is going to lend great power when it comes to an election. And if they try to impeach Trump a second time, it's just going to be another 120 mil right in the pocket of the GOP. Why don't you stop doing that? Why don't you just campaign on issues America cares about? They're not smart enough, I guess. So let's see what he has to say, Mr. Conway. With essentially no pretense about why he was doing it, the president brazenly retaliated Friday against 2 witnesses, oh, please, who gave truthful testimony in the House's impeachment inquiry. He fired Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman and U.S. Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland. First of all, Sondland was recalled. You can call it firing. Vindman was just reassigned to his, basically permanent government job. If he was unhappy in the White House, he shouldn't be there. Don't call it retaliation. Because, in fact, the next story I'll talk about is Trump's just purging the whole thing. He's getting rid of everybody, so calm down. And he also fired a third man, Lieutenant Colonel Yevgeny Vindman, merely for being the brother of the first. Trump essentially admitted his retaliatory motive on Saturday when he tweeted that he sacked Vindman in part for having reported contents of my perfect calls incorrectly. You know that Barack Obama did this too, right? He purged a bunch of people. It's absolutely ridiculous. But, we'll get to that. Conway says, If this were a criminal investigation and Alexander Vindman and Sondland had given their testimony to a grand jury, this Friday night massacre could have been a crime. I love it. Not only is what Trump did not a crime, if it was a criminal investigation, what he's doing now might have been a crime. There's no definitive statement there at all, dude. You're going to try and launch another impeachment against the president, do it, because you don't learn. It's like I'm watching a bunch of kids stick their hand in the fire and they're screaming, ouch, and then they do it again. You'd think it'd stop at a certain point. Nah, they're obsessed, man. At the very least, it ought to be impeachable. If Richard M. Nixon was to be impeached for authorizing hush money for witnesses, and Trump himself was actually impeached for directing defiance of House subpoenas, except they never went to the courts. That is a dangerous precedent. The House is not more powerful than the executive branch. Then there should be no doubt that punishing witnesses for complying with subpoenas and giving truthful testimony about presidential misconduct should make for a high crime and misdemeanor as well. But it's really not about this one day or this one egregious act. It's about who Trump is, who he always was, and who he always will be. It's about the complete mismatch between the man in the office he holds. No, I think it's mostly about your obsession with losing in 2016. And Trump makes you so angry, he strikes right at the heart of your ego. It's like Jon Stewart said about journalists. They take it so personally that Trump insults the press that they stop reporting facts and just say, harumph, oh, well, I never, oh, how uncouth. Instead of actually reporting things that might benefit, their side. I know it's funny saying journalists have a side, but they do for the most part. Democrats could talk about issues Americans like. They could talk about what got Trump elected in the first place. Instead, they can't stop talking about him, man. I'll say it. The media loves Donald Trump. They truly, truly love the man. I mean, their ratings are through the roof. They love it every day. They don't want him to go away. The Democrats also love it. It's like, the saying goes, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Yeah. The Democrats both simultaneously love and hate Donald Trump. They love that feeling they get when they pretend to fight the boogeyman. They personally don't like the guy, but what would they do without him? It's like the Joker, right? That's how I kind of look at it. When it comes to the media and the Democrats, they're the Joker sitting in that room in the dark night, looking at Donald Trump saying, I don't want you to lose re-election. What would I do without you? At least for the media, for the most part. But how many Democrats loved this? Okay, look, at a presidential level, I think a ton of Democrats really do want to beat Trump. But I think there's so many people in Congress and the Senate who love that Trump is there. He's their Batman and they're the Joker, just trying to win to get the keys to the castle. Obviously not every Democrat, obviously not every Republican. Calm down. I could already hear the collective shrieks from people saying, Tim, stop generalizing my party. Yeah, we get it. I'm talking about the establishment. I'm talking about the establishment that has used the orange man bad as their main talking point nonstop for almost 4 years. I understand there's a lot of voters who are frustrated with the Democrats as well. And they're calling in saying they're going to quit the party. Well, you can blame people like Conway for writing this nonsense. He goes on. It's about the fact that the presidency is a fiduciary position, the ultimate public trust, and that Trump's narcissism won't allow him to put anyone else's interest above his own. Didn't the Fed just release data saying that the bottom 1% has increased their wealth by 54%, while the wealthy is done by 17? So it's like triple wage growth. Thus, Trump is kind of closing the wealth gap. Sounds like Trump cares about someone other than himself. Listen, I don't think Trump's motivation is altruism. I don't think Trump's motivation is that he sees a crying child in the street and says, I must do all I can to help that child. I think Trump is an arrogant narcissist, probably, in some overlap to what Conway is saying. The difference is, I think Trump looks at the problem as though he's the only one who can solve it. That's the kind of arrogant narcissist he is. I think he cares about people, but I don't think he's sitting there saying we must save all the children. He's sitting there saying we got a big system. I can fix it. I'm smarter and better than everyone else. The problem for Democrats is that as much as, in my opinion, Trump isn't motivated by altruism, he is right about being better at it than they are in a lot of different ways. But I will tell you this as I wrap up and we move to the next segment. Trump is not the smartest man on the planet. Trump might know trade. He might have fixed the economy, but you know what the biggest mistake he made was? He didn't do what Obama did when Obama got in office. Obama got in and said, y'all holdovers, you fired. And nobody thought twice. Nobody said anything. They said, yep, it happens. Donald Trump gets in, and he ignored all of these holdovers who are pounding their feet going, Democrats, Obama. And he should have. He should have done what Obama did. He didn't. And now they come after him. Well, guess what? That brings me to the next segment. Stick around. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Donald Trump is purging the holdovers in a massive move. So no, he's not retaliating against witnesses. He's basically saying, if you're a holdover, you're out. Took him long enough, right? Stick around. I'll see you all in a few minutes in the next segment.